Hey there, can everybody hear me? Anybody there?
I
Avish,
can
can
hear you.
you can hear me? Good. Okay, perfect. A little bit of a
Yep.
technical problem there again. Okay, I'll show my screen here and we can get going here. I'll put in speaking expert. Okay, you can see my screen, yes?
I can. Yep.
Good. I'll just get rid of that. Okay, and I didn't have time to do some of the stuff, so let me just welcome everybody to the regular Wednesday webinar to Fred Gleeck's Wednesday JV Partner webinar. Okay, and so let me just quickly put this into the correct type size so we can see it. I'll bold it, and we will be on our way. What I wanted to do, Avish, is go over with you and with everybody else who's on what exactly I'm doing with, and I'll just enlarge this stuff too so we can go through it here. I had a conversation with a transcriptionist earlier today, and here is basically what we're doing. As I've talked to you about, and so I'll just rehash it here. The problem is that, again, getting back to the basics of product conversion traffic. So if you have a good product, I'm going to assume you do, and if you don't, you can go check out my site and all the information about how to create a good product. But the conversion is something that we talked to Carl Blanks about, and by the way, that will be, did you get a hold of all that? You got the links to all that, didn't you, Vish?
I got the links. Yeah, I only watched some of the video, but I got the links.
Got it. Okay. And traffic, we're going to use some of Bill Ballou stuff, which is, I think it's get10k.net. So, in the get10k.net system, which let me just put that up real quick here, get10k.net, this system describes a process here of how to generate traffic. And what I wanted to do is to give you a simple sort of way to do this. Again, you'd probably be better off getting a hold of this product that's on this page, which would be right here. But in the meantime, let me just give you this. So assume you have a good product, Carl Blanks, and I'll give all of you a link to, we're going to put that up on the site. If it's not up already, I don't know if it's up. Let me just check here to see if you can get that. Oops. Let's see if that's already up somewhere under webinars. I think I asked Stanley to put that up. I'm not sure if he's got that up yet or not. Let's see. Webinars. And by the way, Avish, what I might ask you to do, I might give you a, I do not see the Carl Blanks material. If you could make a note for me, Avish, and just remind me to ask Stanley to put those up, that would be great. Okay, so again, going back here to creating a good product, I'm going to assume you know how to do that, or if you don't, you go to my site, get more information on that. Conversion, the Carl Blanks material, which I recorded with him, and there are 3 parts to that. I'm going to put those up in the webinars section on my site. And traffic is what we're going to talk about a little bit here today and how to do that. So here's the cheat sheet that I came up with on how to do this. So in order to get a lot of traffic, you need to get a lot of people going to your site. And in order to do that, this may sound like a lot, but I'll show you a way to not make it seem too much. But you need to put up 3 to 5 posts per day, every day. How long? For the next probably 6 to 12 months. Wow, it's a lot of posts. Yes. Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want a lot of traffic? If the answer to that is yes, it's just like brushing your teeth. You'll do it. It's not always fun to brush your teeth, in this case 4 times a day, but you can always load things into WordPress in advance. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit of a system later on how I'm going to be doing this cost effectively, and it'll be good. Now, look carefully though. The word count, 250 words, not less than 225, not more than 300. If posts are longer, separate them into 2 posts and use the same video and link post to each other if you're, for example, doing what I'm doing, which is transcribing some of my material. Use selected keyword phrases twice for each 100 words or 3 to 4 times in a 250 word article. Embed the audio video for each post if you're, again, using that, which I'm going to be describing, which is by use of transcription. Include an image with a caption and a description. Can be the same image or images of me, meaning to say this was for my own internal use here. And the post must contain 1 to 2 external links to credible sites, the interviewees, resources you recommend, etc. Wikipedia works best because that's kind of the easiest one to do. Each post must contain 1 to 2 internal links, other stuff you've written about, have products about within your site. Plug my really good stuff, blah, 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 and some other things. In other words, take those things and use good titles, think like headlines, repeat the content in the title of the opening lines of your post. So again, what I would encourage everybody who's on the webinar to do is to go through this material when it's posted on the webinar site and look through this and copy this down. This is how you're going to get traffic, and you're going to have to be doing it over a longer period of time. But the net result is if you do this, you will get a ton of traffic. So now the question is, in my case, if you go to and look at my site here, under the topic of webinars, I have a lot of webinars of at least about an hour each. And so I was just making the computation of each on this. And for example, the first thing I'm going to have my transcriptionist do. And so again, if you don't have this all written down and didn't have enough time, make sure to go to the webinar, because I'm going to just erase this now and give you what I'm doing next here. So if you don't have this, go get that by looking at the site. Okay, so what's next then? So you need to do a lot of posts. Let's just take an average number, 4 posts per day at 250 words each. This makes it a really easy computation, which is 1,000 words per day. And in doing that, the question then is, if you already have some existing material. So what I did was, Avish, is I gave my transcriptionist an 8-hour program. Now, in general, when I'm doing an 8-hour program, I talk at about the rate of 9 to 10,000 words per hour. Now, let's just use a really even number here, and we'll make it 8 hours times 10,000 words, or a total of 80,000 words. Now, if we need 1,000 words per day, this is obviously then going to give us 80 days worth of blog posts. That's just simple math there. Now, here's what, and by the way, Avish, I went to Fiverr to try and look at this. This is kind of interesting. Take a look at this here. So I went to Fiverr, and everybody can do this. I went to Transcription. And I actually have one person that I'm testing out here, but there are a ton of people. It starts out where you see, here's 10 minutes for $5. And then you see other people start to compete with them, where you go down here, 20 minutes for $5. And if you keep going, 10 minutes for $5. So it varies. And I saw one here, it was like 16 minutes for $5, whatever it is. There's a lot, now here's 16. So there's a lot of people competing here. But let's just assume you can get $10, 10 minutes for $5 as an example. So let's just use that as the example. So if you go to a transcriptionist, this assumes you have audio material. Okay? And so $5 for 10 minutes, right? Is that what it was? $5 for 10 minutes. So that would be the equivalent of, multiply that by 6 for 60 minutes. That's $30 per hour. Now, let's then go back to the fact that I talk at about 10,000 words a minute. So again, this is all going to be sort of moderately correct. So Avish, you're the Ivy League guy, so you need to help me on this. I get 10,000 words, and I'm going to get it done for $30. What is my cost per word to get this done? Now, I assume,
is it 3 cents, I believe?
Yeah, I think that would be 30 divided by 10,000, right? $30 divided by 10,000. Let's pull this up and see. So $30, whoops, 30 divided by 10 equals, and that's 0.03, but that's got to be 3 cents a word, right?
Yeah.
It's not like 0.03 cents a word, is it? No. Because if it's 3 cents a word, so 3 cents a word, let me just do this because the decimal place is screwing me up here. So 0.03 times 10,000 equals, no, that's $300. It's less than 3 cents a word. Am I wrong here?
No, you're right, because it's one word, $1 is 333 words. So yeah, that's
So okay, yeah.
1,000. So basically a third of a cent
right.
per word.
Okay, so a third of a cent per word. So that, now let's then multiply that. So clear this. So 0.003 times 250 words, which is the blog post length, right? Well, actually, let's just do it based on 1,000. So 0.003 times 1,000 words total for the day. And that's going to give you $3 per day. So using this system, it's going to cost you per month about $90 per month to get the content to use for your regular 4 times a day blog posts. Is that all looking correct to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but there's a little bit of a wrinkle on this, because if you go back and look at what we described you had to do, it isn't just getting the words together, it is separating them into 250. So what I'm doing, Avish, is I'm having the transcriptionist take an 8-hour seminar, and the instruction I did give to her was, whenever you come across, or whenever you hear me change to a new topic, put a few spaces between the material. So I'm hoping that I can get some logical grouping based on topics. Now, this won't all work out very pretty, but what I'm hoping is I want to be able to group stuff together in such a way that I can have, you know, nice blocks that'll be between 250 and 300 words. And so, but just to give you an idea, now, in addition to the words, you're going to have to insert some links, both internal and external. You're supposed to put in a picture with a caption. But this isn't going to cost a lot of money out of pocket, assuming that you have some audio material. And in our case, Avish, we do, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yeah, we do. Lots of it. 8
parts, right? To that main program?
Well, we have 2 things. We have one that's 7 parts where we interviewed people, and then we have one which is like 9 parts, which was just me and you talking.
Okay, so if we were to guess, the 7-part interview series is maybe a total of how many total hours you think?
That's 1 hour each, that's 7 hours.
Okay, so we got 7 hours. And this 9 parts, is that about an hour each?
About, it might be a little bit more.
Okay.
That's a total of 50 MP3 tracks, yeah, so it's a pretty...
Okay, so we'll say we have 16 hours. So at 16 hours, we're going to assume that we have about 160,000 words. Again, this is very rough. So if we have 160,000 words and we divide that by 1,000, we're going to have 160 days worth of blog posts. So we have plenty of material to pull on, to pull from.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives us a good, literally like 5 months worth of blog posts if we wanted to go through and do that. Now, you brought up a good question, which is, how is it that we can have all of this, we're basically stealing from ourselves to get material, because this is material, this material here that I'm highlighting is material that we sell. And so when we had that discussion, we agreed that, people probably aren't going to want to go through individual blog post transcripts to get all that, because by the time it's all done, it would have been much more valuable. And by the way, how much are we selling the 9-part teleseminar series for?
I forget exactly. They're both in that like 97 to 147 range.
Okay. By the way, I think both of these should be priced at about this price point, if they aren't already. Just under $100. So now if we have that, and again, we could divide all of these up in order to sell these less expensively. We can do 9 hours or 9 parts, and then let's sell them individually. And so if we sold these individually, let's see what 97 divided by 7 is. So 97 divided by 7 is equal to 13. So let's make this then each piece at $19. Make it 17. Make those 7s. And 97 divided by 9 divided by 9 equals $10. Make that 17 also. Each piece, $17. Now, and we're going to sell them in pieces as an audio file. And now, do we have transcripts to go with both of these, Avish?
No, we have transcripts for the 7-hour one, but not for the 9-hour one.
Okay, and transcripts. And by the way, it would make sense then to maybe up the price on this to $27 if they want the transcripts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we have transcripts for the 7-part, not for the.
Oh, okay, we got transcripts. Okay, so then let's make this with transcripts. Let's make it 27. Now, that begs the question, what are we going to do with these? So obviously, we're going to have to take the 9-part, 9-hour stuff and get it transcribed.
Yeah.
At some point. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is, David's asking, are these daily posts? You're going to have to go through some of the material. David's asking the question. You're going to have to go through some of the material that that I just went through. Go through the. So the question is, let me just see what this question. Are they daily posts categorized by date, or are they categorized? Good question. I'm sorry. I was assuming I know what he was asking. So David's question is, how do you do this? So the release is, we're going to release these, 4 per day, and you can set it up in WordPress to release these on some kind of a schedule. So if you release one at 1 a.m. and the other one at 6 a.m. and the other one at noon and the other one at 4 p.m. or something like that, whatever you want to come up with, some kind of spaced out system like that, that would be good. Categorized by dates. They are released by date, but each one of these posts will have a headline which is keyword rich, and that headline within the copy. So the headlines, are based on keyword research. So let's do a real one here, Avish. Let's go to what is it? Google external keyword tool, and let's show people exactly what we're doing here. Okay, so I don't think I'm signed in, but I won't. But let's just use public speaking as our I think it's a good place to start, don't you? Now they keep changing this, but this, okay, so here are a bunch of keyword terms that Avish can use to put these, and he'll take these various keyword terms like public speaking training, public speaking books, effective public speaking, and you're going to use those as headlines for each blog post, right? And then repeat those keywords 3 to 4 times in the post itself. And all the other stuff you have to do, which is including the an image and a caption, etc., etc. So this really gives you a complete system. But the beauty of getting, if you have audio material, number one, and getting it transcribed, it's incredibly cost effective, because an approximate cost by someone who does this, that Bill knows, you're looking at paying someone around $10 per post for this work, as opposed to $1 per post if you DIY. So this seems like a really good deal to me. So that's what we're going to try and do here, and we already have, so if we've got the 7-hour program transcribed already, right?
Yeah.
So we've got a fair amount of, if we got 70,000 words or even 60,000, we've got 2 months worth of material.
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, when you're working on that kind of transcription, it's not, I don't think you can divide it straight just because, there's a lot of stuff you can't use in an article, but there's still, quite a bit in there.
Yeah, well, let's assume that you can only use half of it, so you still have 30 days worth of material.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so if that's the case, the other thing is that you now don't have to be paying someone $10 per post to do this. Now, admittedly, you have to put in a little bit of sweat equity yourself, but if I'm saving 90% on something, I'm certainly happy to do it myself. That makes sense to you too, doesn't it?
Yeah, just earlier today, because we talked about this yesterday, I went into the first one. Well, actually, the first one was one with me and you. And it took me about a half hour to put together 3 posts. Because I had to, make it sound a little bit like writing, edit a few things, and also you have to add like an intro and conclusion, because the talking part on that wasn't designed as individual segments. But, under 30 minutes to get 3 blog posts done is not bad.
Well, let me give you this as a, so now, I've got my new buddy here in Vegas that is, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he's, relatively young. He just turned 30, and he is, he's really good at looking at the long view. So I said to him, well, how long will it, what do you want to do in jiu-jitsu? And he said, well, I'd eventually like to become a black belt, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, how long will that take? He says, well, probably somewhere between 10 and 12 years. And I said, so do you think you'll do it? He says, oh, yeah, sure, I'm committed to this. So now the question that everybody should be asking themselves is, okay, you talk about wanting to make money on the web. In order to make money on the web, you need 3 things. We need traffic, we need conversion, and we need a great product. So if you can get, and if you had to spend, even if you had to spend the next 12 months doing this program, and we could generate just a buttload of traffic, it would generate us a heck of a lot of money long term.
Right.
So I think this is worth our investment, specifically your investment of time, energy, and effort based on transcription. I really do. And I'm hoping that rather than having to wait 12 months to see some massive result, one of the things that we're doing in order to track this is, and by the way, did you get the current number of visitors per month?
I did not.
Okay.
I gotta hop off for 1 second, Fred.
Okay. So what I'm asking Avish to do here is, obviously, if we're going to start this program, what we want to do is we want to create a baseline measurement of how much traffic we're getting right now. And I would suggest that every 90 days, we check to see what has happened to the number of unique visitors. And I think that really it's good to check. And by the way, you should be checking this data. You know, you look, I would check it, even though we're doing it every month, I would look at the visitors every week. That would be more accurate. And put a little chart together for yourself. So if we check, yeah, I was just saying that let's get a baseline measurement of the number of visitors per month, or actually number of visitors per week. And then let's check every week, maybe every Wednesday morning right before the webinar, and see where we stand. And let's put it on a chart or a graph. And so each week there should be a number that says, okay, so we'll put week 1, and we'll have data here for number of unique visitors and visitors, and then we're also going to have number of blog posts. So we're gonna have a little chart here, and then number of blog posts. Why isn't it? Why is it? Oh, I see. It's going to the next line because it's this. Okay, we'll just move this. So if that's the case, if we had this sort of a matrix setup, which is what week it is, the number of unique visitors, the number of blog posts, and then also I would include another column for cumulative blog posts. So in week 1, it would be 7, or not, I'm sorry, week 1 it would be 7 times 3, 7 times, or 28 blog posts, and the cumulative would also be 28. But by the end of the next week, it would be 28, and then the cumulative would be 56. And I just want to see if we look at this and put it and chart it in an Excel spreadsheet. Let's take a look at what kind of effect this has on the traffic. And then obviously the next number that we want to have on here is total revenue generated in that week. And we also want to have total opt-ins. So if we're looking at the numbers here, we're going to chart blog posts, cumulative blog posts for the week, total or cumulative blog posts, sort of all time. We're going to have revenue generated and the total number of opt-ins, along with, of course, the number of unique visitors. And it's all of this is per week. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so if we do this, I think we're going to find, and we're going to be looking at some interesting numbers here. So I would encourage everybody to set up a similar chart for yourself and to see what those numbers yield. Again, using the system, doing these blog posts 4 times a day, et cetera, et cetera. And somebody's going to say, well, I don't want to do 4 blog posts a day. So I said, well, okay, well, great. Then you're not going to make any money. You know, if you don't want to do certain things, you know, if you don't want to brush your teeth, then your teeth will rot out. If you don't want to do this kind of work, then you won't get a lot of traffic. You don't get a lot of traffic, you can't convert a lot of traffic to buyers. You can't convert a lot of traffic to buyers, you can't make any money. You can't sell all your products. So this is all, you know, it would be nice if we could just all go out, buy lottery tickets and win $10 million tomorrow. But that, you know, that's not going to happen for most of us. So realistically, here is a legitimate way. It's very similar to what I was talking about, by the way, with kdp.amazon.com, which, by the way, and where do you get all of your blog post titles? Again, from your keyword research. But if you look at the kdp.amazon.com, I have not done anything now in about 3 or 4 months. I've done nothing. So let's take a look at the reports. We're going to look at the prior 6 weeks royalties. So we're going to divide this number by 6. So it's about $100 a week. So it continues to generate me around $100 a week, having expended a bunch of energy up front. And so I don't really know, just on that for the kdp.amazon.com, I don't know a better way. And again, all of this is based on doing a little bit here, a little bit there with these different things. So the kdp.amazon.com is generating me $100 a week, and hopefully for the foreseeable future, with about 3 months of hard work to create about 30 articles or books. So again, and by the way, although I have my books up there, I think just some of the best sellers aren't necessarily even books, they're articles. And all of them are either $2.99 or $4.99 for the book. So there you have it. Avish, what am I leaving out? Anything?
I don't think so. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward. It's just a lot of, like you said, it's a lot of upfront work, and then, but it's worth it if it generates the traffic.
Now,
money.
Here's what I've heard from Bill, which is, and this is what's key to making this work. Once traffic starts coming in, and again, this is what I've heard, it never stops. So very similar to what we're doing here with kdp.amazon, is the work once done will yield fruit forever, potentially. I don't know what forever means, but for a long time. So I think it's worth our doing this because, Avish, if this works as advertised, your goal of being able to generate, or my goal for you of being able to get to the point where you're doing, your portion of this is $5,000 per month, that will completely change how you approach your business, I think. Imagine if you had the $5,000 a month coming in right now, you'd probably do things very differently, right?
Oh yeah.
So the question is, it's just like going to school. You have to put in X number of years or months or weeks or whatever your school takes to get the results. In this case, we're looking at blog posts. But the reason why I want to chart this, Avish, with these numbers is because I think, if I'm not crazy, which of course that's always debatable, I think we're going to start to see some movement well before the 12-month time period. I don't know when, quite honestly, but I think we're going to start to see movement before then, and that will do what? Hopefully it'll motivate you to keep going and going. Now, I'm guessing that we will not see much movement for at least the first 30 to 45 days.
Yeah.
So the dip there is probably somewhere between 45 and 60 days. So now the question everybody has to ask themselves, including you, is am I willing to get through the 45 to 60 day dip of seeing nothing happen to my traffic and saying to myself, oh crap, I'm doing all this work. Here's another thing that doesn't work. I'm going to stop now. And if we can get past that, I think we have something. By the way, one of the things I did, and this I think you'll find, I want your feedback. I asked Sabrina about this. Let me get your feedback. You'll know where I'm going when you see what I Google search here. What is it? It's called plug into duplicate. Plug in to duplicate a WordPress post. I found this. Duplicate post. Now, why would that be helpful, Avish?
That is a good question.
I'm
entirely sure.
My thinking is this, that our posts are going to have the same sort of schema. It's going to be a headline, a this, a that, and the other. So I would think that you just duplicate post every time, go in there and change everything, but all the link structure is set up. So all you're doing is changing things. You're doing a cut and paste change rather than recreating everything. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you think?
I have to play around and see how convenient the plugin is. I mean, you can duplicate the post, but you have to change the content of almost everything. So I have to kind of look at that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What are the? Is this a? Is this a pay? Is this a paid plugin or is it free? 110 people, a lot of great ratings. Look at this, 4.9 out of 5.
Huh.
Let's see what
I mean, if
comments.
it's on the WordPress side, I think it's got to be free, unless it was like a license you have to buy.
Well, I thought, a lot of plugins are paid. Yeah, so I mean, this is to me something that might make it faster to do the posts if we're doing them in this fashion. I don't know. That's why I was trying to fish for, what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's certainly worth. If it's a free plugin, it's certainly worth looking into.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So the whole idea is, let me see screenshots here. I don't think it's very complicated to understand what this is. Other notes. What else here? Other notes. The parameters. Yeah. There's. I just think this might be a good way. This might be a good way to get the posts out in such a way. Yeah, and so there's. You've got to set up some kind of a system, some kind of a template that allows you to change the content, but have the structure there. And again, you don't want to be, you want to be very careful. As I recall, Avish, I don't know if you tried this and had the problem, but when you create a document in Microsoft Word and then try to load it into WordPress, not good. So I think in a text editor or some kind of a program, you should use that to create, if you're going to create your blog post sort of offline before you throw it into the WordPress little section for type. You've had that problem, right? Where you bring it in, it has all kinds of extraneous characters.
The WordPress visual editor has actually been pretty good for me, as long as I don't do anything too crazy in Word. If it's just headings and bold and italics and stuff, I've been okay with that.
Okay.
I've had that problem with other programs, but WordPress seems to be pretty intelligent when it comes to that.
Okay,
for
good.
me at least.
Good. And now the other thing that we did you have a chance to listen or watch the Carl Blank's critique of SpeakingExpert.com yet?
Yes.
And so from that, and by the way, Carl Blanks is the conversion expert, and we did a thing, and I'm going to put that up on the webinar page at some point soon. And Avish is actually going to send me a little email reminding me of that, or already did probably. But what were the highlights of that? So conversion improvement for SpeakingExpert.com. Let's take a look at. What did he say here? What were the highlights for you of that?
Yeah, it was the main thing. Kind of all fell into one umbrella, which is really understanding the market. So he, suggested putting the phone number, which we're planning on doing, because I haven't gotten around to contact Stanley about the headline banner. But put the phone number in the banner and let people, just offer them a free, immediate 10-minute consult, just to call right away. Because what that'll do is, especially since the traffic is low right now, that'll build connections, but it'll give us a chance to really talk to people and figure out what it is they want. Same thing with the look and feel of the site. It's really trying to understand whether the people who are trying to attract and who are coming to this site, is the layout, the graphics, the style of the site something that those people will gravitate towards, and convince them to spend money with us.
Yep. And so
that he said, give more free stuff, high value free stuff away, even before asking for an opt-in.
Before asking for an email address. Good. Yeah, I agree. I think he's onto something. I think that's good. So now the other thing is, let's talk a little bit about that phone number you're going to put in the banner. Now, obviously, you're not going to put your cell phone number. You're going to put what? And this is thanks to Google again. You're probably going to use a Google voice number.
Yeah.
And for those who are uninformed, a Google voice number allows you to have a free number courtesy of Google that Google, when somebody calls that number, it'll either look for your other phones, or if you're not there, it'll take a message and transcribe it for you. So if you don't have one of those yet, I think you go to, voice.google.com. And again, this will show you whatever it is. Okay, so you're gonna go over and you're gonna see that. Okay, so that's you're gonna have the ability to do that. Voice.google.com. So that's important because again, if you don't have a whole lot of traffic coming in right now, you might as well give people a phone number because you're not going to get a huge volume of calls. Now, Avish, since we've been talking, I don't know if you went out and checked it. Do we have any idea on what the latest analytics are on the traffic?
Yeah, over the last month, it was about 400 unique visitors.
Okay, so we're looking at about 100 a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the case, out of 100 visitors per week, if we get 5 to 7 calls, I'll be excited. So that's something there to keep in mind. I mean, it's not going to be. I don't think it's not going to be a huge. Let it be our biggest problem that 30 people call.
Yeah.
And in the event that you do get a lot of people calling, then what you want to do is you want to have some kind of a standard response mechanism. And in the, I don't know if we want to set up a separate Google Voice number just for speakingexpert.com. Do you have that set up?
I have not yet, but it's probably worth doing. I was also thinking about I haven't yet set up a speaking expert, just a speaking expert at gmail.com. I think would make sense too.
Yeah. So you want
that'll get me I think we should have probably, so far the YouTube videos we do have right now are under my general Avish Parsha one, so I'm like, that Gmail address will give us access to another YouTube account where we can put, so it probably makes a lot of sense just to create a whole separate speaking expert entity, I think.
Yep, I agree. YouTube account and separate Google Voice account. So anybody who's on the webinar here should be doing the same thing for their products or services. So this becomes a no-brainer way to do it. Separate email address, specifically a separate Gmail. And why Gmail? Just because they provide you with all these other services, specifically the Google Voice account, the YouTube account, and they've done this because they know they got you. So Google is smart, and they're doing things in a way that makes you want to do business with them. By the way, on my birthday, October the 23rd, coming up, Apple will be releasing the new iPad, which will be exciting to see. So, talk about people that are doing things right. I still can't. I went on last night to try and see if I could order an iPhone 5, and there's like 3 to 4 week waiting period. So,
wow.
Yeah, you can't even get a hold of one yet. So this is going to be another Christmas item, I think, that's going to be available. I think that's why Apple is doing this. Obviously they're going to get all the Christmas rush people, and I'm sure that was their goal. What else? Anything else that we want to talk about here, Avish? Now, we have a good idea of what we're going to do. We have a good idea of what data we're going to keep. We're going to keep these items here. Total revenue generated, total opt-ins, blog posts for the week, total, obviously unique visitors probably goes on the top. And I mean, it'll be great to have this in a spreadsheet so that we can look at and see what's going on. So I think we have a really good plan on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's yeah, I mean, this is a good point that Pam is saying that if you set up a Google Voice account without a Gmail account, you can't attach it after the fact. That's good to know, Pam, because I think that it just makes sense to put all these items together. So if we set up the Speaking Expert YouTube channel, we set up the Speaking Expert. By the way, you should be doing that as we speak.
Yeah, good point.
Setting up a separate Gmail address, setting up a separate YouTube account, all of that. Speaking, it should be. then I'll do. By the way, my I don't know if it's up yet. Let's just check to see if Clickbank has. Just here. Let me see. Promote sell products. See if it's up yet. What?
Google tell me someone has the username Speaking Expert.
Probably something we should have done earlier.
Probably.
I would do the Speaking Expert. But I was just checking to see, Clickbank is in the process of giving me an approval for one of my products based on this site with professionalspeakingsuccess.com. And again, I'm just trying to get some example stuff up here. You know, this is, and so basically we replicated this site for Clickbank, and this is actually a pretty good one. I had somebody else wrote the copy for this. I forget what it is, who it was. But anyway, so there you have it. I think we've got a lot done this webinar. Any other final closing thoughts? Because I think we've pretty much talked about everything we need to.